Hi, guys. You could say that today I'm channeling my spyness, spyness, spy. I'm channeling my spy. And I'm gonna wear this black hoodie. I absolutely didn't try to look decent today. And I apologize for it, but it's a Saturday. How do I am Slava Grumpy? Hi. Oh, hi, Angela. Oh my gosh. So did I tell you last time that I learned a thing in Portuguese? It's que legal and beleza. Yeah. So I know it's been 7 months that we've been learning Portuguese with you, and I've learned like 2 new things, but but yeah. Hi, Julian. Hi, Leona. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Taz. So basically today I'm gonna look like the spy that I am, and that's what we're gonna. Hi, Brandy. Oh my gosh. Hello. You have a new profile picture. But yeah, today I am, channeling my spy, High Gap, and I'm just wearing a hoodie, and that's what it's gonna be because it's Saturday, and I was running around cleaning my house, and then when it came time for news, is like there is absolutely no chance in deep hell that I am going to get myself together right now, more than just like my face, and I'm gonna try and look decent. Hi, Theo. Also, update on coasters. I am gonna resend them on Monday. I know I said I would do it on Thursday. My deep apologies. Cindy has been having a lot of Cindy issues with her ears because of her vet, and Thursday morning was the morning where I had time to go to the normal, not the normal post office, but the courier service that basically just takes in basically I found a great shipping place, and that's what I'm going to be using from now on. It's the place that I used to use. It's a little further from where I live, but I know I trust them, and they send me notifications when things get delivered and stuff like that. And it was supposed to happen on Thursday morning because that was the only morning that I had where I could make it there, which now is Monday. But that morning Cindy woke up, and Cindy was having some crazy pains, and she would literally not exist in any position other than me cradling her like this. And the second that I would let her go, she would just start doing these noises and stuff like that. And so she wouldn't let me get away from her. So I had to do that for 3 hours. And then that same day, I also had an interview with Malcontent podcast, the Russia-Ukraine war podcast, which is coming out tomorrow. I'm going to be on his podcast, and I'm really excited. But that was 2.5 hours. And I also had an interview that I had to do that was me interviewing someone. And so basically it just all went out of control. And with the Cine thing, it's been really difficult. But hi, thank you. But basically, I've been asking my vet to prescribe something to her, and the vet absolutely refuses, just keeps taking my money and keeps prescribing her stuff that I know isn't gonna work because it's been 3 weeks and it hasn't been working. So I found the meds that she was taking last year when this happened, and I wanted them to be prescribed through Chewy, but my vet was like, no, you have to come in. And I'm like, okay, well, I've come in so many times and you still haven't helped. Anyways, so what I did is I was talking to Rebecca, who's a doctor actually, and I was like, do you know where I can get this? And she was like, oh, a lot of people actually order pet meds from Canada without prescription. And I was like, what? So Rebecca found me these meds on some random website, and I also found me the meds that I needed for Cindy, but a smaller bottle on Amazon. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I ordered them, and so they finally came in, and Cindy has been taken care of, but also Cindy is about to get on her little heat. So she's super sensitive. And this morning I was trying to pick her up, and I picked her up by lifting her little stomach, and I went onto her little female organs a little bit. And Cindy screamed in the way that I've never heard Cindy scream. And so then we had another moment where Cindy wanted me to pet her for an hour because she was you be, you know, you little sandy beach, you made me feel awful, and that was terrible. And so yeah, and so oh my gosh, why is this going crazy? And so basically, yeah, it was an interesting, it was an interesting situation. Thank you so much. I didn't, I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, what did I do wrong? But then I realized, I just like picked her up by her, like we normally when Cindy and I play, Cindy goes like crazy and I roughhouse her. And so I was doing just that. And I normally, like, at some point she like puts her butt up and I just like, I turn her over, like she does like a little salto. But in order for me to do that, and she loves it, I have to like pick her up by her like back legs, and I will like, I will basically like kind of like push on this area because that's how it is. And so I did, and she like screamed, like doggy screamed. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's where your uterus is. I am so sorry. Your heat is coming soon. And I feel like I just did something really, 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 really terrible. So yeah, so I was like doing that with Cindy today as well. I was, I was cradling her for a couple of hours until she was okay. Okay. Hi, Alexander. Heroyam Slava. Hi, Squirrel. Hi, Cat. Hi, everyone. Cindy is over here. Cindy is doing okay. Cindy hates me today. Right. Hey, babes. Hi, babes. What's up? See? Good little pup. Good little pup. So this is Cindy. I'm just... Wait. Wait. Cindy's like, leave me alone. Yeah, but so that is it. Cindy is okay. What's up, baby? Cindy is over here sitting and staring at me, being like, why are you exploiting me? But yeah, so this is an update. I just wanted to give it to you guys so you are informed. Also, oh my gosh. Also tonight, it's like the loudest night, out of like all nights on a Saturday. There's just so many things happening outside of my house. There's so many people playing loud music and so many cars passing by with their freaking what's exhausts being so loud. So I apologize in advance. Okay, hi Drake, hi Dave. Let me see, who did I miss? Hi Prexis. Hi Theo. Hi Jen. Hi Pauline. Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you? So yeah. So that is that. Uh that is that. Okay, so Russians are mass fleeing from Kherson, and those would be good news, but they're not necessarily the greatest news. Oh, hi Netlin. Oh my gosh. Also, okay, wait. So let me respond to one more question here. So, Rainbow, you didn't miss the Aiden interview. It's actually up on YouTube and you can watch it at any time. It's pinned to the top of my profile. I have also added, I don't know if you guys have seen, but I have added some channels that I personally think are very good speaking channels about the war in Ukraine. And so on YouTube, you can, hi, Natabot. Hi. Haven't seen you in a while. So on YouTube, you can pin recommended channels, and that's what I did. And I pinned like English speaking channels that I think are good, that will give you very good news on the war. There are a lot of Ukrainian speaking channels that I would really want to pin, and I would really want you guys to watch, but they're Ukrainian speaking. And I looked at the automated automated YouTube subtitles, and they're so bad. And they're so bad. And yeah, and I wouldn't recommend that. Also, I think there is a troll on Twitch. Hi troll, good to see you. Well, if you like my channel, then you will want to know similar channels with similar analysis. Yeah. Could you name some of the Ukrainian channels? I know Ukrainian. Oh my gosh, yes. 1 second. So there is this channel called Pressed, I believe. 1 second. So there are a couple of channels that I've been watching. I've been watching lots of interviews with the heroes of Ukraine. There's one on here too. Oh my gosh, there's trolls everywhere. They just, they love me. I feel like I feel like trolls are, I'm like their main, I'm their main source of entertainment, I guess. Trolls absolutely adore me. How do I am Slava? Let me just, I'll tell you some of the pressing. I think the channel is called Pressing. 1 second. I follow, I don't know where to go to see like who I follow other than like home and explore. But there are a couple of like new channels. First of all, one is Banda Dobra. And I think that one's really good. And they just did an interview with Himik. It's called Banda Dobra. And it's an amazing channel. They used to be volunteers in Mariupol. And now they have a YouTube. So that one's really good. And they've been doing like incredible interviews with Ukrainian defenders. I mean, I personally don't like the interview. Like, I don't necessarily like the questions that the interviewer is asking, but I do. But, at the end of the day, they are, Привет, Kharkiv. They are talking to Ukrainian defenders. So the answers, no matter what, and so the answers are great, no matter what the questions are, because they kind of steer the conversation anyway. And then it's, no, I didn't lose the subscription feature. No, Cheryl, I didn't lose the subscription feature. It's some subscriptions expire unless you put them onto auto renew. But yeah, so Banda Dobra, and then it's called Pressing or Pressed. I watched that a lot because they do a lot of really good interviews. Honestly, if you DM me on Instagram, I can give you more because like I don't remember the names of channels. I just know I watch them, so I can like send you, I can go into what I follow and I can send you the names. The one thing that I will tell you is one channel that incredibly annoys me is Yanina Sokolova. I know that she's like a very popular interviewer. There's this lady, her name is Yanina Sokolova, and she is like incredibly popular as like a journalist or like an interviewer in Ukraine. I would say she's like a more likable version of like a Ukrainian Megyn Kelly. But like, she annoys me to the brim of no return. She's asked one of the Ukrainian defenders who has lost his leg and his eye during the siege of Azovstal, and she literally, and I mean like full seriousness, at the end of the interview sits there and goes, yeah, so you said that you have a girlfriend. How did she react to your transformation? And then she tried to save herself from that question because obviously it's incredibly insensitive and incredibly inappropriate. She goes, oh, she loves you even more, right? And I was like, I can't believe people watch this. I cannot believe people watch her, and I cannot believe people respect her, and I cannot believe that she's as popular as she is. And she does a lot of interviews, and like most of her questions are like, let's sensationalize the war. And it's always like, her questions are always like, how did it feel when a bomb landed right next to you? You must have felt like you wish you could make the last phone call to your family, and what would you say? Like, this is not verbatim, but this is like the feel that I get. This is like the feel that I get from her like interviews. It's awful. And she always sits there with this like facial expression. And I understand it's a difficult subject. Like, I do, trust me, especially as someone who has talked to guys who were in Russian captivity and two guys who were in, Mariupol and Azovstal. It is a very difficult subject. It is an incredibly difficult subject, and you do got to be very sensitive. And like, there are a lot of answers to a lot of questions I didn't expect, and they're so, they're brutal, right? But like, you're talking to a person about a person's experience. And I feel like that one of the worst parts about journalists is, and I find it, and like, I find that a lot of people don't want to give interviews specifically because they're used to giving interviews to journalists, and journalists are like, how did it feel? Let me make you into a headline. Like, and it's awful because, like, for instance, when I interview people, my point is not to make a sensation out of them. My point is sort of like to educate through their experiences, like, so people know exactly what happened. And so we push further to end these atrocities, right? And so there is no like Russian propaganda. And so there is no chance someone could say like, oh, people in Mariupol attacked themselves or something like that, right? Like, I just want the real stories of the real people to be out there. And I want them to tell you what they want to tell you, not like answer some incredibly like insensitive personal like questions that dig too deep. And so anytime I watch these interviews, and I watch a lot of them obviously because I'm very interested in knowing exactly what happened, I just sit there anytime these journalists ask these questions. Like, it makes me so angry because you're not talking to your next subject that's going to give your channel a million views. You're talking to a person who has gone through incredibly traumatic shit, and like, just treat them as such. Like, treat them as a person. Like, if your friend was telling you about something horrible that happened to them, would you be sitting there being like, this is not your emotions, right? Why? Like, why do you have to be such a journalist? Thank you so much, Melissa. It's just, it's so awful. And I don't know. I can't watch half of these interviews because I just can't, like, I can't stand to look at the journalists who ask these questions, because they're just so like repetitive, and they're so like, it doesn't feel like a conversation. In fact, it feels like like you're watching one person who is being incredibly genuine, and another person who has like acted the situation out in their head 30 times over, and this is their like acting role, and they're performing right now. And I hate that so much, because it's not like, it's not the situation in which you interview like a famous singer, and you have some questions, that you've prepared beforehand, and you like ask them. You're not interviewing like I don't know who's Max Parskih. You're interviewing like someone who's been through stuff. Anyways, I don't know. I'm just really annoying. I'm just really annoying, guys. I'm just really annoyed at that. Okay, well, all right. Let's move on to the news for today. I what did I want to say? I want to. So here's the thing: there are Russian soldiers changing into civilian clothes out of their uniforms and fleeing to the other bank of the Dnipro River. So they're fleeing Kherson. And that will be good news. And we thought that was good news in the beginning of the blackout on the Kherson offensive, because we thought, ooh, so our guys are coming too close, and Russians are just fleeing. And Russians are just fleeing. So wait, Grumpy, Cindy was scratching her ear. I ratted her out. No, I would hear if Cindy was scratching her ear. She's eating her bone. But so yeah. So we thought it was good news because we thought that Ukrainians are coming too close, and they are just fleeing. But turns out that no, they have mined the Kakhovka Hydroelectric Power Plant, and they are most likely planning on blowing it up. Now, what does that mean? This is something that we need to pay very close attention to, and we really, really, really need to push for UN to send for like either the US or the UN or European Council or someone someone to send, impartial like witnesses and just kind of like peacekeepers maybe to that area, because if that dam blows up, if they in fact do blow up that dam, that's going to mean that one, over 80 settlements in Kherson region, including Kherson, are going to be flooded. That means hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian lives lost, because it's going to be a flood of all floods. That means water supply to Crimea is going to be impossible for the next 5 to 7 years, because it's going to be incredibly difficult to restore it and rebuild it. And that's 5 to 7 years without water supply to Crimea. Then the next thing is Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant reactors are not going to be able to have cooling because oh, hi. No worries. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant reactors are not going to be able to be cooled because there is going to be no water supply. Now, here's the thing. During World War II, and that is a very, very little known event that I talked about in one of my lives in the past, Russians did that. They blew up a dam in Zaporizhzhia region in order to stop the German army from invading. They do this. This is their normal tactic. They don't care for human lives. They don't care for whatever. This is still from the Red Army. This is still from the Soviet Union. Nothing changed. And they've been doing this for a century now. So during World War II, when Germans were moving towards Russia, Russian troops were given an order to blow up the Zaporizhzhia dam to stop the German invasion. First of all, according to evidence and according to a lot of research that has been done on the subject, they didn't have to do that. There were multiple other ways of slowing down the German invasion without like blowing up that dam and flooding many settlements in Zaporizhzhia region. Hundreds of thousands, I think 200,000 people died. 200,000 people died in that flood. And they're planning on doing this again because that's a normal thing for Russians to do. And so, history repeats itself, and history shows that they don't mind doing that. Someone says, oh, they won't do that because there is going to be no water supply to Crimea. Russians don't care. The thing is, they don't care about their people. They don't care about people in Crimea. They just care about coming out winners. And their whole thing is that they want. Their whole thing is that if they can't have Kherson, no one can have Kherson. Because if they flood Kherson, then Ukrainian troops are going to have a very hard time overtaking the rest of the region, and also, well, it's going to be completely flooded. So that's sort of what they do, when Azov and Ukrainian Marines were defending Mariupol, and Russians were outnumbering them 14-1 or 12-1, they're different estimates. They just ruined the entire city because they couldn't fight the Ukrainian resistance. So. For anyone who's saying that, oh, they wouldn't do that because Crimea, they wouldn't do that because this, they wouldn't do that because that, I don't think there is anything that ever stops them, to be honest. I think they would do it no matter what. It depends on how they feel that day, to be incredibly honest and frank with you. Okay. We will go more into that subject as we go. I will start on the rest of the news today. Oh my gosh, we need to put something in these doors because every time they open, they drive me crazy. Треба змазати ці двері чимось.
І ці також.
Та всі двері, будь-які двері. Anyways, so basically the doors in this house need to be treated with something, because every time they get opened, they make this like noise, and it drives me nuts. It drives me insane. Pardon, your ears must have struggled very hard through that, but oh well. WD-40 fixes everything. WD-40 spray. Oh my gosh. I see. If you use wax paper, it'll help. Oh, everybody says WD-40. See, WD-40 seems to be the solution. Yeah, I'll look into it. I mean, I would much rather, like, I would much rather someone who knows what they're doing do it. Maybe like I'll ask a friend of mine who knows how to do this stuff. But I'm not, I'm not very good at things like that. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Oh my gosh, where do the news begin today? Oh, also, you guys, Boris Johnson. I can't stress enough how whatever is going on in the UK right now politically is like the saddest thing I've seen in a very long time. Because so apparently Boris Johnson has 100 votes from the MPs needed to support him running for prime minister, and he was just booted out. Like, all of those MPs just forced him to resign a month ago. And then there is 100 MPs that now suddenly like turned back and are supporting his candidature for prime minister. Like, he was just fired. I can't. I absolutely can't. I don't know, like, again, this is not for me to judge, because I'm not from the UK. This is not my political sphere whatsoever. This is not, anything that I should judge or give my opinion on, because I have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it, but I just find it so comical. It's like, the ink on his resignation letter didn't even dry yet, and he's already running again. It's just like the funniest thing. And I'm sure Ukrainians are so happy over this, oh yay, Bojo. But to be fair, like, okay, I will say that objectively Liz Truss is so useless. And not that Boris Johnson is better than her, but Liz Truss was like terrible too. Okay. So we're starting this this news cycle on some, Ukrainian irony. Here's the video. Your average breakfast, just sitting in a trench, listening to explosions. Our military will find armor even for cats. So here is a little cat or kitten, and it's tucked into like a little armor thing. Oh, also, oh my gosh, you know what I found out yesterday that I thought was so incredibly interesting? So, okay, how many of you are lactose intolerant as adults? I want everybody who's listening to answer this question. If you're lactose intolerant, just put like a plus sign. How many of you are lactose intolerant? Minus plus. Okay. Okay. Minus. All right. I think I am a little plus. Okay. Okay. Minus. All right. Nope. Okay, plus. I'm mildly intolerant. Okay. Cheryl K. Okay. Ish. Okay. Not me. Okay. Thank you, Lester. All right. So basically, there is a genetic study that has been done. And in order for you to be able to digest milk as an adult, so it's mostly about milk as a product, like as in it's not about cheese, it's not about anything, it's about milk, like milk itself, right? So in order for you to be able to digest milk and all of its enzymes as an adult, there is a gene that basically is responsible for it. And that gene is incredibly rare. There are some Scandinavian countries where adults are capable of fully breaking down milk enzymes and digesting milk. And that was about it. And then this researcher did like an incredible study. And in that study, basically, it turned out that in the majority of the world, adults are not capable of digesting milk because milk is for kids. And there are very few genetic codes on the planet that allow for adults to digest milk. And one of those genetic codes is present in like, I think it was Sweden and Ukraine. So far, the two countries where the genetic codes of people have the gene that is responsible for digesting milk as an adult, because milk is technically made for kids. Obviously there are exceptions to these rules worldwide, but most adults in Sweden and most adults in Ukraine are capable of digesting milk, while most adults worldwide are not. And it's funny because as a Ukrainian, like one of the things that I think we do our whole life is like milk for us is not like a thing that we put in coffee. Well, we do, but like milk for us is sort of like, I don't know, like my grandfather just wakes up and drinks like a glass of milk every morning. It's a normal thing. It's just like his thing. My dad wakes up and drinks a glass of milk, like with breakfast, just because he really likes milk. Like he can come home and at some point he will just like drink a glass of milk. It's a very interesting, like I think like most Ukrainian adults drink milk basically maybe half as much as water, but definitely a lot. Like if you are Ukrainian, please tell me if drinking milk just because like at random times in your family is a super normal thing, you know? And so yeah, in Ukraine, I know that most people have like lots of milk in their fridge because it's not, you don't just put it in coffee, you don't just put it in cereal. Like sometimes you come home and you just drink milk. And so yeah, and so it turns out that Ukrainian people have that gene, and like Ukraine is one of not many countries where most of the population is able to drink milk and digest it. And I thought it was so interesting. I thought it was so interesting. But also here's the thing, and like in most of the world, I think now all of the like oat milks and macadamia milks and stuff like that became very popular because a lot of people can't drink milk. I don't think we have all the oat, macadamia and stuff like that milk popular in Ukraine, at least yet, because most people are okay with milk. And a lot of people here, like in the US, are lactose intolerant and don't know about it too, because there are different manifestations of lactose intolerance. Like I found out recently, you could lactose intolerant also be shown as like an allergy on your skin, not only as like stomach problems and stuff like that. So it's very, very interesting. In some bigger cities, yes, maybe, but not overall. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Kyiv for sure definitely has some like substitute milks and stuff, but as in like it's not as popular as as it is everywhere else in the world. Uh, Jillian says I'm not lactose intolerant, but the thought of drinking milk makes me. Oh my god! I love oat milk. Oat milk sounds perfect for me. I love oat milk more than I love regular milk. Um, but yeah, but so that was a very interesting thing that I found out yesterday, and I watched like a whole thing of this researcher, and I was like, wow, that's interesting, and that checks too, because again, milk in Ukraine is incredibly widespread. It's such a normal thing to do. I never thought about it. Like, I never thought about the fact that it's not normal for people to just like drink milk every day, you know? Like, it's so normal in Ukraine. It's so normal for adults to just have a glass of milk. Like, my grandfather does it daily. My dad does it daily. You know, just come home, drink a glass of milk. Normal thing. Totally normal thing. Super widespread in Ukraine. But yeah, also a lot of like milk quality in Ukraine in general is much better. Honestly, like one of the things that I really miss is good milk. Like all of our milk products are much higher quality than here and they're cheaper. I can't eat sour cream in the US. I think it's disgusting. Like I think sour cream in the US is disgusting. And I stand by my words. It is not sour cream. It is some gross yogurt parody BS that I can't even call sour cream in good conscience. Milk is much better in Ukraine as well. We don't have nearly as many different like percentages of milk either. Um, there is just milk, and it's much more natural. Also, a lot of you can just go to like a farmer's market, which there are tons in every city, and they're cheaper than going to a store, and you can just buy real milk from like a farmer lady, and it's just a whole different thing. All the time. My younger sister can't stand you and the smell of milk. Milk in the US is just gross. Like there are a lot of things in the US that are just not right food wise, and milk is one of them. Like milk, yogurts, anything dairy, milk, yogurts, and sour cream. Like sour cream honestly makes me want to cry. Like sour cream here is so bad. It is so incredibly awful. I dream of the day that I can come back home and I can eat varaniki, or what you guys call pierogi, with like normal sour cream. I dream of the day that I can have borscht made out of normal beets with normal sour cream. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Actor Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars movie, said that 500 drones have already been bought for the armed forces of Ukraine as part of the Army of Drones initiative. Успешно. You can make sour cream. Yes, you can, but it's also sour cream will be made out of the same milk that I also don't consider real milk here. Like my mom, when she comes to visit, she doesn't drink milk or eat sour cream here. She thinks it's gross. Okay, so wait, sorry. I really want to talk about milk and sour cream in Ukraine, but I think I need to start like with the new. I think I need to like get into the news. Okay, so Mark Hamill, who's Luke Skywalker, he has been one of the ambassadors of United 24 on the project Army of Drones, and he successfully he was able to successfully fund 500 drones for Ukraine, and I think it's fantastic. Luke Skywalker himself, and Russian propaganda has found a photo of Zelensky wearing a Star Wars T-shirt. And they were like, look at this. And that's after Luke Skywalker got him drones. Guys, wake up, look, Luke Skywalker has joined the dark side. And I was like, it was the funniest thing I have ever seen. So you don't know what to say about this, and so the best thing that you could come up with is this. The best thing you can come up with is Luke Skywalker joined the dark side. I mean, hey, it's 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 something. But I saw this and I was like, wow, Russian propaganda is lacking creativity, and it shows. And so they are saying whatever it is that they can say at this point, just sort of to like feed their narrative. But also, I mean, if dark side is helping people, if joining the dark side means helping people gain democracy, then I think yes, Luke Skywalker wouldn't mind joining that side. But their whole narrative was like, oh my gosh, look at what Ukraine has turned the world into, that Luke Skywalker has joined the dark side. And I thought it was so freaking funny. Okay, so Kalush recorded a new song, Kalush and the Rasmus, and it's called In the Shadows of Ukraine. And I'm going to play it for you with video because it is available. So video file. Are you ready? So someone's asking if this is Ukraine's Eurovision entry. No, it isn't. It's the Rasmus and Kalush. They recorded a song together, and it's basically like a remake of the 2000s hit. And one of the things that I don't understand, though, it's like, I know that the point is to sing in Ukrainian, right? But I feel like it would do much more. And the point is to like perpetuate Ukrainian language and stuff like that. But one of the things that I don't understand is every time that there is a Ukrainian band doing a song with like a English speaking band, they always have part of the lyrics in Ukrainian. And I feel like it would actually resonate with more Western audiences if they were singing it in English, because then you guys have no idea what they're singing about, right? And the whole point is that because these are Western bands, right, it's to bring attention onto Ukrainian bands and onto Ukraine consecutively as a result, basically, through these songs. And I'm not quite sure why they're always in Ukrainian. I mean, like, I understand the point of it, but I think that it'd be much more, it would be more effective if people could understand what the lyrics meant. But that's just me. I still think it's a great song, and I still think they did a great job. Cindy, what are you doing? Okay. Sin, can I help you? Cindy? Hello? Are you comfortable? Cindy. Cindy's face right now. Okay. All right. Sin, can you come here? It was so nice when you were warming my butt. Come on. Cindy. Hey. Hey. Okay, fine. Okay. This is how Ukrainian military training continues in trench warfare in the UK. Environmentally conscious and pro-Ukraine. Dublin, Ireland. This is an ad. It says, isolate Putin, insulate homes. More sun, more wind, more peace. I think it's a brilliant ad. Whoever here is from Ireland and has seen this in Dublin, I love this. Thank you very much. This is incredible. And I think this is such a brilliant marketing move. And also, you know, like, I love when marketing is benefits both you like there are a lot of firms that are using Ukraine for their marketing purposes in a wrong way, where they're literally using a catastrophe to benefit them, right? And then there are a lot of marketing ads that benefit both them and Ukraine. And I really like when marketing is done very right. And I think this is one of the examples of that, because it reminds people what's happening. It reminds people what to do. It reminds people to not forget that there is this going on, and also simultaneously benefits the company because they're awesome, you know? I think it's so cool. Isolate Putin, insulate homes. So this is a joke, and it says "Pimp My Ride," Ukrainian version though. This is like, it looks like a Zhigul to me, and it's pimped out to be a military vehicle, and I absolutely love it. The administration of a college for people with disabilities in the Leningrad region of Russia collects aid for the front from students. Dissenters are persuaded to purchase the equipment and items necessary for the Russian military, reasoning that if students have money for their own food, then they will also find money for food for soldiers. Let us also be patriots because everyone participates, both kindergartners and other institutions. So, this is a college for people with disabilities in Russia, and they are collecting money from people with disabilities to send to the front to buy food and supplies for the soldiers that Russian army can no longer afford to buy for them. And I think this is such a disgusting, such a low blow move. And their reasoning is literally, if students have money for their own food, then they will also find money for food for soldiers. Let us be patriots because everyone participates, kindergartners and others. And this is like the lowest of the low that the Russian government can fall, because at this point, they don't want to spend their own money to fund the military, but they will take money from people with disabilities to fund the military that produces more people with disabilities. That's the lowest of the low that Russia could do. I mean, there are a lot of lows that Russia has done at this point, but I think this is so like disgusting and so incredibly inappropriate, and that just infringes on, I think that here's the thing, like, it's just, are you actually going to rob people with disabilities from whatever little aid they get or don't get? Because in Russia, I know people with disabilities don't get that much aid. And you're going to rob them from what little they already have to basically sponsor more disabilities appearing in Russia? Fantastic. That's just fantastic. Russian occupiers in Kherson change into civilian clothes to cross to the left bank of the Dnipro River. Operational Command South reports. We've talked about it in the beginning of the stream. Russia has artificially created a queue of 150 vessels within the framework of the Grain Initiative, Volodymyr Zelensky reports. So they're not letting the ships out of the ports. Ukraine is concerned about the situation in countries where refugees are staying. Dmytro Lubinets about the arson of a hotel in Germany. We consider unacceptable signals when, fleeing from armed aggression in their own country, Ukrainians become victims in places of temporary asylum, as it happened in the hotel in the German commune Gross Stremkendorf, said the Human Rights Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada Dmytro Lubinets. I appeal to the governments of the European Union countries to refrain from making decisions on granting asylum to men of conscription age who evade mobilization in the Russian Federation until the Ukrainian citizens suffering from Russian aggression are provided with conditions of safe stay in the EU countries. The Ombudsman emphasized that Russian male evaders who flee to EU countries from Putin's funeralization, the name for mobilization that Ukraine gave it, because mobilizatsiya and mogilizatsiya. Mogilizatsiya is grave, like funeralization. Often brutally threaten Ukrainian women and children abroad with physical violence. Yeah. So here's the thing. A lot of these men that flee from Russia are not against the war. They just don't want to die at the front. And a lot of those men, in general, a lot of Ukrainians are facing so much Russian aggression abroad. A lot of you, like, and those are those Russians that flee mobilization. Those are those Russians that just came in. Those are Russians overall. And one of the reasons why we're asking to not grant Russians asylum, not grant them visas, is not because, like, oh, we hate Russians, so hate them with us or something like that. No, it's just because generally the world still refuses to believe in the awful that most Russian people still are. Like, there are so many videos coming out daily from different European cities where, like in Germany, Russians had a protest in some random German town that was pro-Soviet Union and against Germany. And the protest literally said, "We are gonna come get Berlin again." And it's allowed. Like, it was, it was there was like a little area designated to it. There were Russians standing there and protesting, and it was an anti-German, anti-Berlin sentiment, pro-Russian Berlin sentiment, and it was allowed. Like, there was police guarding that protest, and I don't understand how that's allowed, especially, like, okay, this is at this point not even an anti-Ukrainian sentiment, it's an anti-German sentiment in Germany, and you're allowing it. And there is a lot, in fact, most of the videos of, like, Russians harassing Ukrainians, most of the videos of Russians screaming at Ukrainians, telling Ukrainians to die, telling Ukrainians to leave, telling Ukrainians that they're not welcome here, those are coming from Germany because of such a high population of Russians in Germany, and because Germany allows Russians to come and get asylum if they're fleeing mobilization. And that puts Ukrainian refugees in high danger because, first of all, that is Russian men. Then they go and harass and beat up and try to, like, essay Ukrainian women. Ukrainians do not feel safe. Ukrainians do not feel safe in lots of European countries with high Russian populations because Russians do their best to harass us, to assault us, to insult us. It's ridiculous. And then and then Western people are like, oh, poor Russians, they're fleeing mobilization because they don't want to kill Ukrainians. They're against the war. No, they're not fleeing mobilization because they don't want to kill Ukrainians. They're fleeing mobilization because they don't want to be killed. And this is based on facts. There are numerous conversations of Russians fleeing at the border, basically talking about how should they take off their Z, how Ukrainians are assholes because we put them in this situation, and how dare we, do we even understand how terrible it is that they have to move now and stuff like that, and that they're completely self-centered. Then there is multiple evidence. So it's not like I'm just saying this, right? Like, no, there is a ton of evidence to back it up. To back up that, like, Russians abroad are harassing Ukrainians and putting them in danger. And Russians abroad are organizing protests, basically with an anti-Ukrainian sentiment, with a pro-Russian sentiment, like trying to insinuate violence against Ukrainians. Like, the world, wake up. How are you allowing this? Why would you want these people in your country? Why would you want that? It's so gross and it's so terrible and it's so damaging. And then these same people are going to start protesting and saying that they want a referendum to join Russia because now there is a large Russian population in an X area of X country. Like, you're putting yourself in danger. How do you not realize yet that this is just like an imperialistic nation to the core? And it's not the leader that's imperialistic. It's no. It's a whole nation. We don't have a Putin problem. We have a Russia problem. Underwater internet cables were cut almost simultaneously in France and Britain. Unknown attackers cut several underwater fiber optic cables in the south of France on Wednesday night. These cables connected the country with other parts of Europe as well as Asia and the United States. A similar incident occurred in the United Kingdom. The reasons have not yet been officially reported. However, there is speculation that Russian saboteurs could have done it. I mean, yeah, of course, who else would have done that? Like, who else would have benefited from that, especially if it happened in two countries at the same time with the same basically scenario. Air defense is working in the Kyiv region. Head of the regional military administration, Alexei Kuleba. And air raid sirens have been announced throughout Ukraine, and the heads of the regional military administration persistently asked to remain in shelter. The Russians hit Nikopol with MLRS and heavy artillery at night. Valentin Reznichenko, head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration. More than 20 houses and several gas pipelines were damaged in the city. Power lines were brought down. Almost 1,000 families were left without electricity. Power engineers are already fixing the networks, Reznichenko said. Explosions occurred in the Khmelnytsky region. The head of the Regional Military Administration, Serhiy Hamali, reported. The sound of explosions were also heard in Lutsk, correspondents of the Suspilne report. The public also reports explosions in the Rivne region. The townspeople report the disappearance of electricity. The armed forces of Ukraine shot down a Russian missile in the Chernivtsi region, regional military administration. The remnants fell into the lake. There was no damage or casualties. Here is a video of the little girl. She's 6-year-old. Her name is Sasha Pascal, and she lost her leg in Odessa under rocket fire by the Russian army. And she's now undergoing rehabilitation in Austria. I've seen her videos before where she was learning how to walk on her prosthetic. And look at this today. She's already exercising. Look at that. She's doing so good. I love how she's like, she didn't know what to do with the machine and she was like, Mom! And then she was like, oh, okay. I love that. The village of Lyubimivka, Kherson region, the Russian military has set up its base in Pigsty. So this is a pig farm, and this is where Russians have set up their base. Well, obviously they're not there anymore, but so let me get this straight. So these Russians, set up a base in a pig farm, and they were sleeping in the stalls of a pig farm. Like it's fine. I mean, to be fair, I do understand that this resembles your average apartment in Murmansk or Norilsk or something like that. I get it. It's probably familiar for them, but the irony of this, look at that. It's a literal pig farm. This is a pig stall. And this, and here's their little beds. They have little mattresses, and they have little pillows. Little pillows. I can't imagine how a human being can find a pig farm and be like, yeah, this is perfect. This is where we're going to set up base. This is great conditions. Here, all we need is just a couple of pillows, and we're just going to sleep in the pig stalls. Perfect. Feels just like home. That is, and I mean, this sounds like I'm making fun of them, right? But I'm not. I'm genuinely shocked. But also, it makes sense because realistically speaking, if you look at average apartments in Norilsk or Murmansk or some Mukhasransk in Russia, literally, this is pretty accurate. Permanent representative of Russia to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia, said that he was leaving the UN Security Council meeting to avoid hearing the speech of the permanent representative of Ukraine to the UN, Serhiy Kyslytsa. Yeah, I would avoid hearing it too because, Kyslytsa is very good with his words. And usually, words stab deeper than a knife and truth hurts. So yeah, I understand why he wouldn't want to hear it because at the end of the day, you don't want to hear the truth. As a result of this early morning's massive missile attack on the critical infrastructure of Ukrainian cities, explosions occurred in the Khmelnytsky region. The city is left without electricity. The city council urges residents to stock up on water as the water supply will be cut off within an hour. An attack was carried out on an energy facility in Lutsk, said the mayor of it, Igor Polishchuk. The city has lost power and water supply. The shockwave damaged a private house. One civilian received burns. And the head of the Rivne Regional Military Administration, Vitaly Koval, has confirmed that the hit in the Rivne region correspondents of the Suspilne reported electricity and water supply outages. The air defense system went off in the Lviv region. All 5 missiles were shot down over the Kyiv region with the first salvo, reports Alexei Arestovich, advisor to the Office of the President of Ukraine. At the same time, 5 regions were hit with missiles of their fragments. The enemy launched 2 missile strikes on the regional energy infrastructure facilities in the Odessa and Kirovohrad regions, Regional Military Administration reports. 3 people were wounded as a result of the missile strikes in the Odessa region, the district state administration reported. The air raid sirens continued all over Ukraine except for temporarily occupied Crimea for more than 3 hours today. CNN reports satellite images by Maxar Technologies show that Russian mercenaries have built a 2-kilometer so-called Wagner line near the town of Hirske in the Luhansk region. As the publication notes, the fortification comprises 4 rows of cement pyramids that the Russians hope will stop any Ukrainian vehicles and tanks from moving eastward. A large trench is located behind the anti-tank fortifications. This is what it looks like. Also, it's just 2 kilometers long, and they probably spent so much time and effort building this, and this is not going to help or stop anything. Really. It could easily hit by artillery and ruined. And they spent, also it's 2 kilometers, that's not that long. It's honestly, this is the largest waste of time I have seen in the battlefield because again, this can be easily blown up by a HIMARS, this can be easily blown up by artillery, by a tank, literally by anything. And this is not going to stop anything or anyone. It's a drone. This could be blown up by a drone. Yeah, a drone can take it out. It's so funny because they most likely, you had to spend time building this. And they took out valuable time. Not that their time is valuable. It's not. But let's say strategically, to build this. 2 missile strikes on one of the settlements in the Zaporizhia region were launched at night. Head of the Regional Military Administration, Oleksandr Starov. Heroyam Slava Sofia. As of now, air defense has destroyed 18 enemy cruise missiles, according to Air Force. A total of 33 cruise missiles were fired at Ukraine today. The scale of today's damage is comparable to or may exceed the consequences of the attack on October 10th to 12th, National Power Company Ukrenergo. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia is recruiting foreign mercenaries, particularly in the Middle East. Along with the search for weapons, the Russian military leadership does not abandon attempts to attract foreign mercenaries to the war in Ukraine. According to available information, the recruitment of militants continues in one of the countries of the Middle East. The report reads. Well, I wonder if they're going to be successful because most of the countries worldwide actually have access to the real news and they see exactly the bloodbath that Russians enter when they try to go to war in Ukraine. And obviously, if you have any semblance of brain activity and critical thinking, you will know that 145 million people country shouldn't be looking for mercenaries to recruit for war in Ukraine, because they should be able to mobilize people. And if people can be mobilized, then they don't want to go to war there. And the reason why they don't want to go to war there is probably because you shouldn't, because, that side is losing really badly and suffers a lot of losses. Russian occupiers illegally took 46 children from the Kherson Regional Children's Orphanage to the temporarily occupied Simferopol. So they continue stealing Ukrainian children. Hello, lady. Hi. What's up, boo? Come. You're so awkward, dude, today. You're so awkward. Okay. Operational Command South reports the Russian invaders have increased their naval grouping in the Black Sea to 10 units, including 3 missile carriers with 24 caliber cruise missiles. The General Staff reported that the Russian invaders were preparing Kherson for street battles, and a large part of the population had left the city. Hello. See, you really like smelling my ears. It's very strange. Oh, thank you, Melissa. But it is what it is, right? Babes, you funny little thing. Yeah. The General Staff reported the Russian invaders were preparing Kherson for street battles, and a large part of the population had left the city. The Russian troops have repeatedly struck an energy infrastructure facility in the Volyn region. Preliminarily, no one was injured. Regional Military Administration. Volyn is where Xenosolo is located. Russian attack helicopter Ka-52 was shot down today in the Kherson region, Air Command South. But also Volyn is a big region, so it's not like it was right near her. I'm just letting you know territorially. This is where Xenosolo is. The energy facility in Lutsk, which was hit by 3 cruise missiles, is virtually destroyed, says the mayor of the city, Igor Polishchuk. For now, its restoration is impossible. Institute for the Study of War says Russian troops are likely to try to blow up the dam of the Kakhovka Hydroelectric Power Plant to cover their retreat and prevent Ukrainian troops from pursuing deeper into the Kherson region. The institute estimates that the occupiers will almost certainly blame Ukraine for blowing up the dam. However, Ukraine has no material interest in undermining it, which could flood 80 Ukrainian towns and force the displacement of hundreds of thousands of people, as well as damage the already problematic electricity supply in Ukraine. Here is an intercepted phone call by the Security Service of Ukraine. The Russian invader complains that there is no way to escape from the front lines. That's how we're set up here. That is, we are sitting second, guarding the first, and there is another line behind us. You can't go back there either. That is, it's unreal to run away. Your own people will shoot you. So I'm going to play you this intercepted phone call between a Russian invader and I guess a member of their family. Give me just 1 second. I'll download it and then upload it. City. Like, what is going on? Why are you? Oh my gosh. Her weight is like, if you only saw what's happening behind my back right now, she's like, her weight is pushing on this, her weight is pushing on the pillow. And so the pillow at this point completely like went down. And so now there is just Cindy behind me, just chilling, and I find it incredibly funny. Yes, lady? How can I help you? What are you doing? Oh my God, yes, thank you. Okay, well, that's probably a better solution. Okay, let me see. For some reason, this video does not want to download, and it really annoys me. Really, really annoys me. Also, did you guys see in the community on YouTube, in the community post on YouTube, I posted the thumbnail to the next to the next part of the Tork interview, and I'm wondering what you thought of the title, and whether you're excited and stuff like that. Also, someone on Scatterbox on Twitch is asking, so the Russians actually placed mines onto the dam? That's crazy. Yes, Russians have mined the dam, and you should look up World War II Zaporizhia flood, when Russians blew up and mined a similar dam. And this is not the first time they've done it. This is not weird for them. This is like a normal thing that they do, unfortunately. And they don't care for human lives, really. They just care for perpetuating their narrative, and that's about it. They care for looking like winners. They care for doing things like that. They absolutely do not care for how many lives it's going to cost them. It's a pretty normal practice for them to sabotage stuff. Oh, hi Armin, good to see you. Oh my gosh, I think quote of the day is coming up, and that's also great. You're so on time, because I can't seem to be able to send this video to myself. So while I try to figure that out, at the very least, I can, okay, 1 second. Okay, wait 1 second. Okay, all right, I got it. All right. Okay. Article 2 of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide defines forcibly transferring children of the group to another group as an act of genocide. Yeah, exactly. That's what's been like publicized in a lot of places, that one of the markers of a genocide is forcibly removing children, because this is like the new generations of Ukrainians, and that's what Russians have been doing. Okay, 1 second, guys. Flip camera, video. Okay.
Че, короче, ребят звонили, вот этот ваш комитет конченый. Нас, говорит, в Украине нету. Представляешь, мы на обучении.
Ну, блин, мы знаем. Мы уже во все инстанции писали. Всем вообще все равно.
Трупов вы тоже не дождались, и их вряд ли пришлют в ближайшее время.
Чего не пришлют?
Мертвых. А их полно, и лебедянских, и липецких.
Обалдеть. Игорек звонил, говорил, там у вас кушать нечего.
Нечего, согласен. Вообще нет еды. У кого денег нет, тот пшеницу с поля жрет проросшую. И у нас зэков привезли с тюрьмы.
Ну.
Их куда-то завели вперед. А мы сидим, как заградотряд. Если кто назад побежит, замочим.
Какой-то кошмар.
А у нас так поставлено. То есть мы сидим вторые, охраняем первых. Сзади нас еще линия, туда тоже не вернешься. То есть убежать нереально, свои пристрелят.
So this is a new Russian reality. Basically, if you try to like leave the front, which obviously a lot of people are considering at this point, right? A lot of Russians, you can't, because your own people are going to shoot you. Which I honestly don't see the point of that at this point, to prevent them from running away, because they're going to die anyway at some point at the front. So it's it's just a scare tactic, right? But these guys can't desert their positions, and they can't commit treason. They can't flee, because the troops behind them are literally going to shoot them. And the point is that Russian front lines are set up in first, second, and third line, right? But not because that's like a normal. I think that they have like the first, second, and third line, right? And in the first line of the front, they also have 3 lines. and these lines guard each other. So that's basically what it is. And then someone says the power plant there needs that water. Yes, it does. The power plant in Zaporizhia, nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, needs the water to be able to cool the reactors. Yeah. The Russian military targeted 4 infrastructure facilities in the Mykolaiv, Odessa, and Kirovohrad regions in the morning, reported the Operational Command South. In the south, the Ukrainian military aviation conducted 10 strikes on a concentration of enemy equipment and 2 strongholds, as well as on positions of the enemy's air defense systems. Operational Command South again reports. As a result, the following enemy losses are known: 17 invaders, a Grad multiple rocket launcher, a tank, a mortar, 3 units of armored vehicles, and 3 ammunition depots. The enemy launched a massive attack from the night. 36 missiles, most of them shot down, says Volodymyr Zelensky. Iran and Russia will be held accountable for the murders of Ukrainians, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Canada. Canada strongly condemns Iran's active support of Russian atrocities in Ukraine through the sale of weapons, and provision of Iranian military personnel to train and assist Russian forces on the use of Iranian weapons. The ministry said on Twitter. The department emphasized that these actions result in the death of civilians, threaten global peace and security, and must stop. Also, before I continue with the news, one of the things that I wanted to remind you guys is that the interview with Aidan Aslan, a British national who served in the Ukrainian Marines since 2018, better known as Kozak Gandhi, or rather, he was better known as Kozak Gandhi until he ended up in Russian captivity and was exploited for propaganda, is up on my channel now, and I highly suggest that you watch it. There are also the interviews with Tork, and the new interview is coming out next week, and I already posted the thumbnail to this interview that reveals the subject on which he's going to be talking about, and he's also going to start talking about Russian captivity. Also, there were supposed to be 4 parts, but we're breaking them down onto 5 because I tried to take some stuff out to make it into into 4 parts, but honestly, he says too much incredibly important stuff, and I can't just take it out. So executive decision was made to make it into 5 parts. So part 4 is officially mostly about life in the bunker on Azovstal under the shelling, and then part 5 is about Russian captivity. Part 3 is bunker on Azovstal, part 4 is Russian captivity, and part 5 is, well, you will see. So there is that, and I am going to ask you, if you watch those interviews, please don't forget to like them and leave a comment, any comment, because the more you comment, the more you like, the more you share. Send it to friends, send it to people you think might not even want to watch it, but they might want to watch, and you might not know. And that will spread these news, and that will spread accurate evidence, testimony from Ukrainian servicemen to more people, and a lot more people might change their mind. A lot more people might activize in supporting Ukraine, and that'll be big, because basically the more active you are on these videos, the more you watch them, the more time you spend watching them, the more of them you share, the more comments you leave. The more comments you leave, it's going to push this video further. And also, Russell, no, the Tork interview was always going to be 4 parts. I mean, it was supposed to be an interview, and then right after I did the interview and it was 4.5 hours long, I came on and was like, it's going to be 4 parts. It's going to be 4 different parts. So it was never 1 or 2. Aidan is 2 parts. Aidan's interview is 2 parts. Okay. Europe continues to be united in its support for Ukraine, says Olaf Scholz. The Chancellor of Germany stated this while commenting on the results of the 2-day EU summit in Brussels. Europe stands together. We stand together on the side of Ukraine. We stand together against Putin and Russian aggression. We are uniting to overcome the consequences of the Russian invasion and high energy prices together, he emphasized. Germany handed over a new batch of weapons, military clothes, and equipment for the military to Ukraine, website of the federal government. 5 armored engineer vehicles, 7 heavy and medium bridge systems, 167,000 rounds of ammunition for firearms, 100 tents, 183 generators, 116,000 winter jackets, 80,000 winter trousers, and 240,000 winter hats were handed over. The transfer of the Iris-T SLM has finally been officially confirmed, as the media reported last week. The town of Kovel in the Volyn region may be without electricity for several days due to Russian shelling. Iran condemned calls for UN to investigate the supply of kamikaze drones to Russia, according to Reuters. Yeah, so Iran condemns the calls to investigate Iran. Okay. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Iran, Nasser Kanani, said Friday's call by the so-called E3 group of countries was false and baseless, and that it is strongly rejected and condemned. Well, here's the thing: you can't condemn and strongly reject an investigation into your wrongdoing. That's the whole point. You are doing something wrong and you need to be investigated. And if you didn't do anything wrong, you wouldn't mind being investigated. And also, you can't really deny that you're selling drones to Russia because we're finding them in Ukraine. There is multitude of evidence that Iran is selling drones to Russia. There is satellite images. There is all of these meetings that they've had. There is no condemnation of Russian actions from Iran, and then there are Iranian drones on Ukrainian soil. What do you mean? The armed forces of the Russian Federation moving thousands of troops in Belarus aimed at interrupting the flow of Western military aid from Poland, reports New York Times. Russia's missile strikes left almost 1.5 million Ukrainians without electricity, Office of the President of Ukraine reports. Russians are forcing Kherson citizens to immediately flee the city. Kherson citizens and all of the units and the ministries of civil administration have to move to the right bank of Dnipro, indicated by occupiers' administration in Kherson region. The body of another civilian who had been shot by the Russian military was found in the Kyiv region. The body of a 48-year-old man was found in the woods near the village of Klavdievo-Tarasova. The man was wanted as missing since late March. Relatives recognized the clothes of the deceased. According to them, during the occupation, he rode a bicycle to his sister and never came back. The route of the late man lay through enemy checkpoints and Russian combat positions. Conflicts between the military of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus begin due to the arrogant attitude of the Russians due to the Belarusians, reports the General Staff. Well, how the card house falls. Belarusians are now understanding that Russians deem them as lesser than. I'm going to read this again. Conflicts between the military of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus begin due to the arrogant attitude of the Russians towards the Belarusians. Of course. That's like, it's so funny and so expected, because Belarusians think that if they're going to like collaborate with Russians, they think that like Russians respect them. Russians don't respect anybody, and especially anybody who isn't Russian. They deem themselves superior to everybody. And if Belarusians think that Russians think of them as equals, Belarusians must be kidding themselves, because they don't. It's too funny that that they just refuse to understand this. Like, I don't know. I think that one of the reasons why Belarus is like a Belarus leadership and some brainwashed people are supporting Russia is because they, for some reason, think that Russia thinks of them as like equal, and that puts them on the side. It's like, it's sort of like Stockholm syndrome. And it's also like a complex, right? Where you want your wrongdoer to like, it's like the man who abuses you, right? This is how a victim acts. They want that man to respect them, right? So they kind of do these things to sort of satisfy them. And I feel like this is what Belarus is doing, because they're like, we're equal to you, right? We are. Like, you think of us better than other nations, right? Like, you don't think of us as like Kazakhs and Ukrainians. Like, you actually respect us. And then they find out that no, they don't. Anyways, so there is a poem of this, or there is this little child speaking, talking about like a poem, and I want to translate it to you. It says, all Ukrainian children know that the real superheroes are the heroes of Azovstal. So we repeat these lines when we feel sadness and despair, because victory is just around the corner. I can't send it to myself, so I'm going to have to show it to you, and I'm going to have to read the subtitles for you, because it's mirrored. My heart is steel, my blood is Azov. Don't cry, my sweet, we'll rise once again. So it's like, don't cry, my dear, we'll rise once again. It's so sweet. It's a little kid reading a poem about Azovstal. On October 22nd, the Russians attacked the infrastructure of 9 regions of Ukraine with 40 missile strikes and 16 Shahed drones, General Staff reports. Boris Johnson has the support of 100 conservative MPs needed to run for Britain's prime minister, Sky News reports. We covered this earlier, but again, all I have to say is the ink on his resignation letter did not dry yet, and he's already running for the prime minister again. The Congress of the Communist Party of China approved the one-person supreme leadership of Xi Jinping, according to Reuters. Xi Jinping was elected as the head of the Communist Party of China for a third 5-year term. And there are the fragments of the cruise missile that was shot down over the Kyiv region. Photo, Andriy Nabytov. The Russians plan to destroy the Milana mural in Mariupol dedicated to the girl who lost her mother during the shelling of the city in 2015. Oh, so this mural is dedicated to the girl whose mother was killed during shelling of Mariupol in 2015. And Azov took back Mariupol, and Azov did not let Mariupol get invaded by Russians. And Azov also didn't let that happen to Kherson. And so this is a mural commemorating it and commemorating the strength of Mariupol, and Russians are planning on taking it down. Of course they are. There is absolutely nothing that humane that I'm seeing in these people, and they absolutely don't care how many human emotions and human lives they destroy. And that's all I have for today. If anybody has anything to add, if anybody has anything to ask, please let me know. Tonight, I'm going to post another Tork quote from the upcoming interview on the Patreon. If you'd like to support my journalistic endeavors, you're welcome to do so, and I would be highly appreciative. I have a Patreon. It's Spy News Network, INTL. You usually get a first look into the interviews, and you get quotes ahead of time, and so you get the gist of what the interviews are going to be about. From there, you also will be getting some videos sometimes that are not going to make it on YouTube. You're going to get some cutouts that I took out Aiden's interview that I'll be taking out from other interviews now that I will be trying to make them shorter, because I think that I can't keep doing 4-hour interviews. But yeah, so basically you're going to be getting all of these things, all of these perks, and all of these behind the scenes that didn't make it to YouTube, and a lot more. You also get to vote, and you get to have some raffles for things and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, thank you, Lauren. Oh, I love those. Thank you so much. But yeah, so that's that. And also follow me. Yeah, on Patreon, you're going to get to see cutout pieces. Yes. But so the Tork cutout pieces, I didn't cut anything out. So there were no cutout pieces, but I will be cutting out the Aiden pieces, some of the Aiden pieces, because I just need to make it another 45 minutes, and there is more footage than that. So you will get quite a bit of cutout pieces, and then also I have an interview that I need to still edit with someone who lived in Kherson occupation that's coming out after the Tork interview. And there will be cutouts from there too. So you guys will be getting a lot of stuff that the rest of the world isn't going to be. And yeah, that's that. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter because I'm there when I'm not live. And for those of you who For those of you who don't know, I stream on TikTok, on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Twitter simultaneously. And on YouTube, I have video interviews with Ukrainian defenders. One of them is an interview with Tork, Azov regiment serviceman, call name Tork. And he talks about why he joined Azov, what Azov is to him, and stuff like that. And then in the next one, he talks about his journey from Mariupol to Azovstal. And then the one that's coming out this week is going to be life in the bunker of Azovstal under constant shelling. So there is going to be that. Yeah, Mario, I will buy the WD-40 for door hinges. Thank you. And oh my gosh, Netlin, you got banned on Twitter. Oh no. And Veronica, Tork is doing okay. I'm actually in constant contact with him. He's doing really well, and he is recovering, and he is, he's great. Also, one of the things that I want to mention, so remember Anastasia, my aunt, who is an artist, so she has this hobby where she kind of like paints dolls and makes clothes for them, and she paints like their faces and stuff like that. And so she made a Ukrainian doll, and it's really pretty, and she wants to auction this doll off, and she wants to raise she wants to raise money to go to charity to fund her academy. She works at the academy in Ukraine. She currently works in Wales for a semester, but also with that, she's still a professor at the Academy of Arts in Ukraine. And she wants to raise money for equipment, study materials, and stuff like that. She says, I know we need to win the war, but we also can't forget the education. So this is the doll that she has made, and she wanted me to put this doll up for auction. So I am very curious if you guys would be interested in this. But so this is the doll. Oh, it's like wearing a little Ukrainian outfit with little embroidered things. And so Anastasia painted her face. So the doll didn't have a face until Anastasia did that. There is a little Ukrainian korali coming with it. And basically she wanted me to do an auction for this doll. And all of the money is going to go to students who can't pay for their education in Anastasia's, in the Academy of Arts where Anastasia works. So I am going to put this up as a poll on Twitter, and I'm going to put this up as a poll on YouTube, and you guys tell me what you think. Here's what the doll looks like. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to show it both. Wait. Yeah. So it's wearing a little vyshyvanka. Look at her, little sassy and feisty Ukrainian lady. Yeah. And yeah. So I will do an auction for that. And thank you guys for supporting all of the causes, and thank you for being so amazing. And I hope someone's little girl, or maybe someone's little boy, or maybe someone's adult man or woman will enjoy this doll. And I hope that we can put it up for auction. All right, yay. Okay, well, does anybody have anything to add or ask? Because if not, then I'm gonna go do my laundry and attend to this little snorty snorts who's snorty snoring right behind me. Oh, thank you, Jillian. Recap? Okay, I can do a quick recap, fine. But also on YouTube, you can always access these. You can always access these newscasts, and you can always go over them. Okay, so fine. I will do a recap through the Kyiv Independent, Some of these things we obviously have heard about, but some of them are going to be new. Okay, Ukraine's military. Russia increases number of ships in Black Sea. Russian forces strike Nikopol overnight. Russian losses amount to 67,070 troops. Governor says 3 more civilians killed in Bakhmut over the past 24 hours. Russia strikes critical infrastructure across Ukraine on morning of October 22nd. Several Russian missiles heading to Kyiv have been taken down by air defense systems over Kyiv Oblast this morning. Ukraine's Air Force says it downed 10 kamikaze drones in Mykolaiv Oblast. 18 Russian cruise missiles shot down in Ukraine in one morning. 12 may have reached targets. The UK Defense Ministry said in its intelligence update on October 22nd that Russian forces have completed building a barge bridge over the Dnipro River amid increasing pressure in Kherson. Ukrenergo says damage from today's strikes on energy facilities may be worse than October 10 to 12's attacks. Germany reports delivering more military aid to Ukraine. Ukraine's general staff says conflicts reported between Russian and Belarusian soldiers in Belarus, based on Russian soldiers having a rude attitude. Russia reports shelling in Belgorod Oblast, claims 5 people wounded. Ukraine shoots down Russian attack helicopter in Kherson Oblast. Officials say Russian attacks cut out electricity to over 1.5 million Ukrainian households. Occupiers' government orders civilians to leave Kherson immediately. Mayor says Russian missile strikes completely destroy energy facility in Lutsk, Volyn Oblast. SBU, the Service of basically Homeland Security of Ukraine, has banned 12 pro-Russian parties. Russian occupation government starts to dump water from Kakhovka reservoir. Vladimir Leontiev, the head of the Russian occupation government in Novokakhovka in Kherson Oblast, said that the discharge of water has been increased over the past week so that in the event of a negative development, the amount of water flowing downstream would be smaller. Russian newspaper Kommersant reported. The negative development was an apparent reference to an explosion at the Russian-occupied Kakhovka Hydropower Plant in Kherson region. President Volodymyr Zelensky said on October 20th that Russia was planning to blow up the dam at the Kakhovka Hydropower Plant as a part of a false flag operation blame Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War said on October 22nd that Russia is likely to set conditions for Russian forces to damage the dam and to blame Ukraine while using the resulting floods to cover their own retreat further south into Kherson Oblast. Lviv supermarkets, shopping malls evacuated over bomb threats. Lviv Oblast police received anonymous calls around noon on October 22nd about explosive devices allegedly placed in shopping malls and supermarkets in Lviv, local media reported. Employees and visitors have been evacuated and the police are working there with the help of demining teams and bomb-sniffing dogs. Zelensky, the world can and must stop Russian terror. Scholz explains why he's refusing to send German tanks to Ukraine. He told Die Welt that his country does not want to act alone, meaning that other Western countries should also send their tanks if Germany does. Scholz said that 20 to 30% of Germans don't agree with the sanctions against Russia and arms deliveries to Ukraine. Scholz has been repeatedly accused of blocking arms to Ukraine. Yes, they don't, because 20 to 30% of Germans are Russendeutsche, which is, or Russlanddeutsche, or Russian Germans, and you are the reason why you have so many Russians in Germany, because you are literally letting them in and you're infiltrating Germany with more and more Russians. Like, come on, man, turn on your brain. You're a chancellor. Russia plunges Ukraine into humanitarian catastrophe by attacking energy infrastructure. General Staff reports armed forces push Russian troops out of Charivne, Chkalova settlements in Kherson region. Zelensky accuses Iran of lying about selling drones to Russia. Mayor says Russian attacks on Lutsk, Volyn Oblast damaged 12 residential buildings. Podolyak says Russia aims to cause new refugee crisis in Europe by striking Ukraine's critical infrastructure. General Staff says Russian forces launched 40 missile strikes over the past 24 hours. Russia fires at Sumy Oblast 143 times in one day. One person is injured. Ukraine shoots down another Russian attack helicopter. Oh no, my phone died. So TikTok went out. Oh no. My phone died, so TikTok went out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to Well, I would. Oh yeah, Georgia has a lot of Russians too. Well, they fled to Georgia basically. Okay, so my phone died, therefore the live ended. But I'm going to reboot it and just say goodbye because that wasn't nice. You guys want some? No, no one wants any Russians. No one wants any Russians. Thank you very much. Also, I'm Ukrainian, so I definitely do not want any Russians. Thank you. Thank you for your generous offer, though. There are enough of them in Ukraine already, and we are striving to change that situation. Okay, so guys, my phone died, and that's why the live ended. Hi, Christina. But I wanted to come back on and say thank you, Kay. Yeah, my battery died and I didn't notice because I had my mic plugged in. So I thank you. Thank you, Muracha. But so yeah, basically my phone died and I just wanted to say goodbye in a proper manner, and I didn't want to end the live and just be like, all right, bye. But my mic was plugged in, and so it drained the battery. It drained the battery faster than it normally would have. Thank you, Kay. Oh my gosh, I really like these. They're cute. But yeah. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna run because thank you, because I do want to do my laundry and I want to be able to do it. I don't know if I'm gonna be on later, maybe when I'm editing, but I do have a lot of stuff to finish. But while tomorrow is Sunday and tomorrow I'm not doing the news, as you know, one of the fun things that's going to happen tomorrow is I'm going to be on Malcontent's Russia-Ukraine War podcast. So you guys don't forget to catch that. The podcast is in his link in bio. It's in his link in bio on Twitter too. And I am the guest on tomorrow's episode. So don't forget to tune in. And that's going to be your 30 minutes of Yulia on Sunday. Not that you need 30 minutes of Yulia on Sunday, but in case you did, there you have it. Okay, guys, thank you so very much. And where will I auction the doll? I am gonna let you know, and I'm gonna let you know the date. I just wanted to see if you guys were interested in that auction to begin with, so I will let you know. And interview name one more time. It's Russia-Ukraine War Podcast, and it's on Spotify. It's on Apple. Here, let me look it up for you. It's everywhere. It should be easy for you to find because it's a very popular podcast. It's apparently like top. It's apparently top 5 on Apple. So let me show you. Russia, Ukraine War. Yep. Oh, I just saw it. So it's called the Russia-Ukraine War Report. There you go. It looks like this. The Russia-Ukraine War Report. They do daily situational reports, and it's from Malcontent News, and they do it daily. And so tomorrow I'm going to be on the episode. All right. Okay. I shall see you guys later. Okay. Yeah, my interview with Aiden is up, and my interviews are always up. Okay. Bye, guys.